Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In this video, we are looking at the homework example. In case you did not understand and if you had made any mistakes and you would like to know where you went wrong, you can refer to this. So, explaining the problem, we said an ISP has been granted a block of addresses beginning 16.12.64.0/20. Okay, so the prefix length is 20. And how do we need to allocate the addresses? 2 organizations with 256, 2 organizations with 60 each, 1 organization with 120. We need to find the subnet mask, the first and the last addresses for each of these. And we also need to answer how many addresses remain unallocated. Now I have explained in here. The first thing, as I've always said, the first thing that we do is we change this to binary. So this is the address converted to binary. And then we apply the subnet mask to separate the network bits and the host bits. And this is our subnet mask, 20 bits. Having done this, so all these bits are network, 20 bits, and all the rests are host bits. Now let's look at our subnet blocks. You're having 256, 256. Then you're having 60. Now we know that we cannot take 60 as it is. We have to round up to the nearest power of 2, which is 64. Okay, so you have 2 64s, and then you have the fifth one, which is 120. You're rounding it up to 128. Now, there are 5 organizations. Okay, now remember, there are different ways in which you can do this. This is one way I'm showing you here. So we are having 5 organizations. The closest power of 2 to 5 is 8. Okay? Remember, in this case, in this example, what did we do? We wanted to divide it into 4, right? So we took here 2 bits because we can easily represent 4 subnets in 2 bits. But in this case, we're having 5 subnets we need. Now we can't take 2 bits because it's too less. So we go for this next, which is 3 bits. And in 3 bits, you can actually allocate 8 addresses, 8 subnets. Now, taking the network address from the top here. Okay, this is your network address. Now, to this network address, I am taking 3 bits from the host side, and I am allocating them as subnet bits. Okay, and this is what's happening here. So we have our network address as it is, and we have added the 3 bits for the subnets. Now in this case, what is our subnet mask? The subnet mask will now become 23. Okay, the subnet mask will now become 23. And the remaining, now how many bits are remaining? 32 minus 23, which is 9 bits. So 9 bits are remaining to be used for hosts. Now I have the first 2 subnets. They are having 256 addresses. So what I do in this case, I'm going to use the first. So what are the combinations I could have in this case? Let's do it in here, okay? So the combinations out of the 3 bits we have here, right? These are the different combinations that we could have. And in this case, we're having 5 organizations. So the maximum we need is 5, really. 1 0 6 1 0 0 1 0 1. Okay, so we could have all these You could even go further if you like, but I'm just going to stop here. So how many subnets could I have? As I said, I could have 000, 001, 010, 011, 100. My network bits still remain the same. I'm not touching this, okay? You do not touch the network bits. You only play around with the host bits. So based on this, what is the first combination? 16, 12, 64, 0/23. Now this is very important. You have to make sure that you're using the right subnet mask. Then we have the next combination, which comes up to 65, 66, 67, and 68. Now out of this, the first two subnets need 256. So you're going to have to use all host addresses from this for your first subnet. So your first address is 64.0 and last address is 64.255. I think the majority of you got this part right. Now look at the next one. You have the second subnet, which is, in this case, you can't take, now remember, you've already used all the hosts in subnet 64. So you cannot go on using 64 again. You're going to have to use another subnet. So in this case, you're using 65. First address .0, last address .255. Now what I have done here is I have simply taken each one of these and allocated it to each subnet. You can either do it in this way, or because now you see we are having, if you see the total number of addresses for the remaining three subnets, how much are that? How much is that? Let's calculate it. So having 64 plus 64 plus 120. Yes. So if you were to take the next three subnets, 64, 64, and 128. Okay. So the other three subnets, you're having 64, 64, and 128. If you were to add up all this, it comes up to 256. Which means you could also allocate one subnet for all these three by increasing the subnet bits, or you can allocate them separately as I have done here. Okay, so I simply just took each one and I allocated it, and my subnet mask in here remains the same. This is the easiest way of doing it. Okay, this is the easiest way. So I just take each one of them and allocate the addresses. So in the second subnet, 0 to 255, 65. Third subnet, 0. In this case, the last address we need is 64. But I have still managed to change it as 66. Keep that in mind. Many of you, what you did not change this. Okay, you continued using this. You cannot use this anymore because you've already used up all the addresses in these two subnets. So you can't use 64 and 65 any longer. You have to move on to the next subnets. Okay, so you're having in here 0 to 63 in the subnet 66. Then for the fourth subnet, I've changed it to 67. And I've carried on in that way. And the fifth subnet, I've taken 68 and I've taken 0 to 127 because we had allocated 128 address bits. But remember one thing. There's a second way of doing this. And the second way is that, so what we could do is we've allocated 1 and 2 as they are. Then you could take 66 Okay, you could take 66 and allocate all these 3 to 66. You could technically do that. However, if you're doing this, you're going to have to put in more subnet bits, because there has to be a way of differentiating these 3 subnets. Got it? So you're going to have to, so our third bit is 66, right? Then you're going to have to choose, because now you're having it like this, 5, 6, 7, 8. Then you're going to have to take this again, all right? And then you're going to have 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0. So you're going to allocate each one of these. You could allocate a number here, like this, which means your subnet mask is going to increase. Okay, it's going to increase from 23 to 25 actually. So yes, so it's actually, let me show you. So you're having these 3 bits, right? So you're going to have to add 2 more bits from there. So it's actually not going to be like this. It's going to be 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is how it is, the third octet at the moment. 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right. This is how it is at the moment, right? And we have added these 3 bits for our subnets, okay? This is what we did. We added our 3 bits for we took these 3 bits. But now you're going to have to also extend these 3 bits. So initially, the subnet mask was 23 at this point, okay? Until here it was 23. But when you take these 2, it's going to be 25. Then you can go off and put all of these in one subnet. The easiest way around is, as I showed you here, okay? Just take 3 bits. You already have 8 subnets already allocated to you, so you can just simply put them all in there, okay? Even though many of you didn't get the subnet mask bit right, I have still given you full marks. I did not deduct your credits for that, because you did the effort, okay? So I didn't want to, I ignored that part. I overlooked it. But this is how it actually happens, okay? Now, many of you also missed this part. Now, how many have we used up in the host addresses? We have used up 256 plus 256 plus 64 plus 64 plus 128, which is 768. We've already used them. How many hosts do we actually have available? It is 32 minus 20. 20 for the subnet bits, for the network bits. So you have 32 minus 20, which is 12. 2 to the power 12 is 4096. So this is actually the total number of hosts that is available to us. And from those, we have used 768. So the number of remaining hosts would be 4096 minus 768, 3328. So this is the explanation for your homework example. Always remember that when you add a new subnet, you must change the subnet address. However, for the whole subnet, the subnet address remains constant. It does not change. Okay, all the host addresses in that subnet will have the same subnet address. When you change the subnet, only then you change the subnet address. Some of you did not do that. Some of you changed the subnet address within the subnet itself, which is wrong. Okay, so this is the explanation for your homework example.